Welcome everyone to the Apprentice Automation Challenge pre-finals webinar. I'm Jason Yearsley, the chair of the Apprentice Automation Challenge. And yeah, just be giving you a bit update and a bit of information in advance of the finals day. I've seen from a lot of the reports you've all been doing some very interesting and great work, so I'm sure you'll get very excited now for attending the finals day. Yeah, if you could go on to the next slide, please, Fiona. Thank you. So today, just quickly cover through the agenda. So we'll do some welcoming introductions, finals day overview, and then Toby will be going into some presentation and preparation tips just to give you a few advisory comments and good practices for the finals day presentations. And then we'll move into a question and answer session before the close, where you can ask any questions, answers, and we can hopefully answer those on the spot. If not, we will take them away and get in contact with you when we can find the answer as soon as possible. So the finals day is taking place on the Friday, the 29th of September, 2023, at the Advanced Manufacturing Training Centre next to the MTC. And yeah, we'll send out this pack afterwards, so don't worry about having to copy this address down quickly now. We'll send out a team briefing pack. Fiona will do that in the coming weeks. There's free parking available on site, so yeah, you don't need to worry about that. Just need to worry about getting there on time in advance for setting up, and then yeah, where we go. There'll be a bit more detail on the sort of information on the day sent out in the pack as well. Yeah, I'll pass over now to Toby, who was going to take you through the finals day overview and then on to the presentation tips.
Thank you, Jason. Yes, thank you. My name is Toby Hegarty. I am the head judge for the Apprentice Automation Committee. So the first thing to talk about is going to be the event space. For those of you who may or may not have been to the MTC before, well, AMTC in this particular instance, this is going to be the general layout of where the event would take in place. We'll be primarily focused on the ground floor for the majority of the day. As you can see, the reception is where you'll find Fiona and her colleagues who will help you at registration and then indicate to you into the exhibition space where you will be able to take your equipment to perform your prototype setup, and then we'll be performing scrutineering. Once the event has been, once the judging has completed, it'll be time for lunch in the restaurant, again indicated very close by, but will be pointed out by members of the MTC events team or from the event staff on the day. After lunch and the workshop tours, which will be discussed, I'll be discussing shortly on the next couple of slides. We'll be continuing to have a networking event with a drinks reception in the mezzanine, followed by the actual final awards ceremony with photo opportunity in the Sir William Siemens Theatre, all of which very conveniently located close to each other. So the teams themselves, I'm sure, well, Leonardo teams, I'm sure all aware of each other, but these are the teams who will be taking place, who will be showing off their final products on the finals day. So we have Luffing Legends with a food handling device. It's all under control with the Step Smart. The Failed Wonder Kids with the Smart Plug. Viva Smart with their 3D printing material recycler. Yolanda's Angels with Fed Up Pets. Marvelous Creations with the Smart Heap, and Team Prodigy with Box E. All the judges have now been looking through your reports, and from what feedback I've received, they're all very much looking forward to seeing the products that you produce on the finals day itself. Speaking of, we'll talk about the format of the day. So from 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock is when you'll be advised or required to arrive. I think you can maybe arrive earlier than 8 o'clock, but you probably won't be allowed into the building until then. So arrival, prototype setup in that time period. From 9 till 9:15, we'll have a welcome note. And then from 9:15 to 10 o'clock will be scrutineering conducted by members of the committee. If your product does not pass scrutineering, you won't be allowed to turn it on. So try to make sure that everything is safe, and we'll discuss that again, I think, on the next slide. From 10 till 12:30, you'll be judged. There will be teams of judges moving throughout the exhibition space, and they will spend roughly 25 minutes with each team. You will have breaks in which you can mill around, look at your fellow teams who aren't currently being judged, and just relax. After that, from 12:30 till 1:30, we have the lunch break. During this time, from 1 till 2, we have laid on a tour of the MTC workshop, which you are welcome to take part in. I forget how many tours we have going on. I think we have 2 tours. Each one takes roughly half an hour. So don't feel like you have to rush your lunch if you want to go onto the workshop tour. From 2 till 3:30, while the judges are upstairs deliberating, you will all be taking part in a peer review. So you'll get to look at your fellow teams, where you will get to judge them yourselves and pick out from yourself which one you think has been the best product of the day. And the IMechE, you'll be also laying on the lighthouse challenge, where your objective will be build the tallest freestanding lighthouse using the materials they supplied. From 3:30 till 4, we'll have the drinks reception upstairs in the mezzanine, as I stated earlier, and then 4 to 4:30, the awards ceremony in the lecture theatre. After 4:30, you're free. You can pack down, de-rig, and you go on your merry way. Hopefully having had a great day at the finals day. Next slide, please. So, how the presentations are scored. As I stated, each team will get 25 minutes for the judging team. You'll get about 20 minutes to present and discuss your project, and then 5 minutes for the judges themselves to ask questions. The judges will be marking you according to the following areas. Design. Some of them will have read your reports. But how well have you met the design requirements outlined in that report? If for whatever reason you haven't met it, do try to explain why or what you've had to change since the reports have been written to achieve your final product. The quality of the prototype. How well does it perform? Chief point, does it turn on? Can you run it? Is the performance consistent and repeatable? If you show it running multiple times, as it will have to run throughout the day, does it work without any issues? And lastly, is the prototype of high build quality? If for any reason none of these the first one comes to pass and you can't turn it on, can you at least explain why this is the case? You won't be penalized for having a product that doesn't work perfectly, as long as you can explain why or what's gone wrong. Product functionality. How innovative, usable, and marketable is your prototype? So for innovation, the judges will be looking at what's the unique selling point of the product. Usability, they will be assessing more on a nebulous, point of view, but how easy is it to use? What market is it aimed at as a result of that usability? If it's aimed more towards the elderly, how simplified have you made it? How complex is it? The next point, the team's depth of knowledge. How well have you answered the technical questions about your product? The judges come from a wide array of backgrounds with all of them years of experience. So be prepared to answer technical questions of different levels of depth around the different areas, be it the business case itself that you've identified in your report, or you may have talked about in your presentation, or other aspects of your project. If you don't know an answer, there's nothing wrong in saying you're not sure or you don't know, but try and at least get a base understanding of all the areas as much as you can. Lastly, you'll be judged on how well you present. How good is your teamwork, and how well are you communicating with each other? Don't just have one person speak and have the rest of your team be wallflowers. Make sure everyone gets a chance to say something and show to the judges how much they know. Next slide, please, Fiona. So, what do you need to bring to the finals day? This will obviously vary from team to team. This is by no means an exhaustive list. At the very minimum, bring your prototype. While the scoring isn't entirely leaning on that prototype, a good percentage of your marks will be based around it. So do make sure you can bring it and do make sure you can turn it on. On that turning on note, any safety documentation. Bring your risk assessment and your PAT certification. These will be required during the scrutineering process for the members of the committee to ensure that your system is safe to be turned on and run, that it's of no harm to yourself or the judges or anyone else who might come by to look at it. Presentation materials is next. This can vary again from team to team. If you have a slideshow that you want to present, make sure you bring a laptop to run it on. If you need printouts that you want to pass to the judges or just to have on the table, bring those by all means. If you wish to bring past prototypes, whatever you feel will help better create a good presentation, bring it with you. The last point is identification. The MTC itself is a secure facility. As such, you need to make sure we're letting the right people in. So passport is the bare minimum for what you should bring if you wish to actually go on the workshop tour. If you don't have a passport for whatever reason, a driving license or some form of ID and birth certificate to back it up. Now for the actual presentation and any tips that we can devise to actually for that 20-minute slot. So remember the 5 Ps. Proper planning prevents poor performance. I believe the American Air Force has a slightly different version of that, but we'll go with the 5 Ps for this instance. Before the event, make sure you assign roles to different team members. This goes back to my earlier point. Make sure everyone gets a chance to say something. Ensure everyone gets to contribute. Play to those team members' strengths. If you've had someone focusing solely on the business case, make sure they're the ones who are talking about it. Same if you had someone working on CAD design, electronics, make sure they're the people who get to talk about those areas. And if any questions are about those areas, make sure you direct them to that team member. Fill the time. You have 20 minutes to make your presentation, but the judges have 25 minutes with you. The more time you spend talking and filling that 20 minutes, the less time the judge will have to ask you questions. So unless you're inviting a lot of questions for whatever reason, try and go as close to that 20 minutes as possible. Ideally, don't go over. We will stop you if we feel that you're talking too long. The judges actually do need to ask questions. Know your product and your market inside out. As I said, as I keep repeating myself, the judges have a wide array of backgrounds and many years of knowledge. So they're likely to ask you questions that, while they're not trying to trip you up, they will ask you questions that you maybe hadn't considered. So try and get as broad an understanding of your areas and the product and your market you're working in. And the last point, before the event, practice, practice, practice. You cannot practice your presentation enough. Make sure that it's seamless. When one person speaks, the next person whose turn it is to talk, it knows that it'll be them to continue to take the ball and continue presenting. At the event itself, bring everything you need. Make sure any tools you may need to do repairs, any spare parts if necessary, bring it all. You'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. If for whatever reason your prototype doesn't work or that there are weaknesses, point them out. Say this didn't work, but explain why it's not working. Show a level of understanding and learning to the judges, and they will be more likely to, well, they won't penalize you in theory. And the last point, relax and smile. The judges are all much scarier than they actually are. Well, they look scarier than they actually are, sorry. And have fun. It's been as Jason has said, this has been a long process for all of you, and this is the final hurdle. So enjoy yourself, celebrate your successes. If you win the overall challenge, congratulations. If you don't, it's still a very great success to have gotten to this stage. I think that's the end of my slides. I'll now pass you over to Fiona, who will run the Q&A session. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Toby, and hi, everyone. I'm Fiona. I'm sure you may have seen me in the webinar earlier this year, but thank you all for joining today, and I look forward to meeting you all at the finals day next month. So if you have any questions regarding the competition itself, or anything that Toby and Jason has covered today, please pop it in the chat box or just raise your hand and feel free to go on microphone to ask a question. I'll give you a few minutes just to type those in. In the meantime, there were a few additional areas that we were going to cover today in supporting of the competition itself. One of them was the IMechE awards, which the winners of the competition will be invited to by the manufacturer. Unfortunately, Grace, getting the director, she's unable to attend today to kind of give you a bit more information about that, but the winners of the competition will be contacted by Grace from the manufacturer to kind of give you some more information about the awards itself and what they need from you, and yeah, and obviously the location and the date, things like that. So she'll be in touch post finals day. And there's also the IMechE and Apprentice awards, the IMechE awards taking place at the moment. There are some information available on a website, which I will direct you to after this webinar. I'll follow up with an email just with a copy of the recording and also some further details, including the IMechE awards. There is a deadline of end of September, I believe. So do take a look, and we highly encourage you to apply. And there'll be, I think there's a prize, some prize money at the end as well. So I would highly encourage you to take a look. And yeah, so I can see a few questions coming up on the chat box. Jason and Toby, I don't know if you want to just come on camera for the Q&A if there are any questions that you're able to assist with. So the first one is, let me just address Hassan's message. Like I said, there's a recording, so I'll post that. I'll send it over to you all. That'll be uploaded to the IMechE YouTube channel as well. So is there food provided? Yes. So during lunch break at the restaurant at the venue, there will be lunch provided. It will be hot food, if I recall correctly. But I'll be sending out your team information packs in the next few weeks, and that will include some further details. But there will be food, there'll be teas and coffees available throughout the day for refreshments as well, and water stations. But yeah, there will be hot food provided. I think it was pizza and fish and chips were the two options, and then some desserts and snacks along with that. Are the presentations on big screens or just laptops? So previously, teams would bring their laptops, like Toby has mentioned. There are screens available in the exhibition space, but I will need to double check with the venue if we can have them set up individually for each team. I'll follow up with some further details on that by email, so just keep an eye out for that. We are at the practical side of our prototype and figuring out how to get the electronics working. We are struggling due to our limited knowledge, so can you provide contact details with one of the judges so we can get some guidance from them, or anyone at the IMechE that is able to help? Toby and Jason, who would be the best point of contact for Hassan and his team? Or I can ask them to forward it to me, send it to me, and then I'll forward it on to everyone. And then
I think if you send an email through with the details, and we can take that away, I think, Toby, and then find out who can help out there. I guess it depends on the detail of the issues.
Yeah, it would really depend on how much sort of advice I think is needed as to whether, I don't necessarily think the judges would be able to support, but we may be able to advise someone else.
Okay, perfect. So Hassan, if you can just pop an email over to myself, so fiona.wong@imeche.org, or the aac.challenge@imeche.org email, and I'll forward it on to the committing judges for them to advise on. Okay. just give everyone a few more minutes to see if there's any additional questions. We have perfect. We have kept this quite short and sweet. I know this is during the holiday period, and yeah, so not many are available, but like I said, it will be recorded and posted online, and I'll share that over to everyone. But I think that's all the questions for today. So thank you everyone for attending. I will follow up with an email. So thank you all for your time. If you do have any additional questions, feel free to send us an email to myself directly, or just the AAC general email address. I'm looking after the inbox anyway, so you'll be emailing to me and I'll forward it on as and when. So thank you all. Thank you, Tony and Jason, for joining us as well and presenting. But that will be everything for today. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll speak to you all soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Good luck.
Yeah, best of luck.